a student story, I want to welcome up my dear friend, Will Bacon. Can everyone give him a round of applause?
So my name's Will Bacon. I'm a senior here at Grand Valley studying group social studies and secondary education. And here at CM, I also serve as a productions intern. I grew up in a Christian home and accepted Christ at a very young age. And between scouts and going to church, I learned one very important lesson, and that was the importance of helping others. As soon as I could, I started volunteering as a teen helper in the children's ministry at my church. Almost every Sunday, you can find me down there looking for a room that needed extra hands. In 7th grade, my church announced that they needed some extra hands and help on the tech team for the middle school youth band. At that point, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I jumped into it anyway. By the time I entered high school, I was always involved in something, whether it was choir, band, scouts, my different roles at church, or other volunteer work. Through all of that, I learned I loved being around people, not just to build relationships with them, but also to enjoy their company. On the outside, I was completely surrounded by others, always happy, but deep down, I felt different. I didn't quite understand why, but despite always being in the middle of many activities, I would come home at night feeling lonely, isolated, and desperate for a real friendship. Eventually, I fell into the habit of wearing a mask, acting happy and excited, and like everything was fine. But inside, I was crying out for help. I didn't know why I felt so alone, and worse, I didn't know what to do about it. It got to the point where I started to question if anyone would even notice if I were gone. I convinced myself that they wouldn't. For a while, I wrestled with thoughts of ending my own life, but something always held me back from making that final decision. Finally, one night after school, I broke down and my parents asked me if I was okay. Everything was not okay. Everything I had been holding in for months came out like a flood, and I told them how I felt like I had no real friends and how I wished I wasn't alive. When I came to college, I knew I should get involved in a ministry organization or a local church. That was what was expected of me by my friends and family, right? So I followed through with that. But at that time, my relationship with Christ was still very weak. I was just going through the motions. I didn't know how to pray, I didn't know how to read the Bible, and I didn't know how to talk about Christ with others. What I did know was how to show up, sit through church, and then go home. I got connected with CM at the very first well service I attended, I had a really big realization. I looked around the room and saw people that genuinely wanted to be there, and unknown to me, some of the people on those prayer team are those people that were there that night for me. They weren't just showing up there out of obligation. They had made the choice to come, to be in this room, and to worship. That moment opened my eyes. For most of my life, I had lacked the trust and the courage in my faith. And all of my efforts to be a good Christian, and despite all my efforts to be a good Christian, I fell into the trap of doing good works and just trying to check boxes. But now I understand that faith isn't just about checking boxes. Even today, I'm not perfect. I don't always read my Bible every day. I don't pray as often as I should. And I've struggled with many forms of sin throughout the past several years and still have various other struggles like self-doubt, negative self-perception, and worrying too much about what others think of me. All of which I've worked through just this year. But what I can say that I've learned with confidence from my time at CM over the past 4 years is this: God does not and will not make mistakes. So have courage in your faith. Take steps towards a real personal relationship with Christ. Not just saying that you believe, but also putting your faith and courage in Him. It's about trust, surrender, and the courage to believe that God's love never fails and always will find its way to you. And this is why I worship.